Hello there everybody, Saban and I, 2 Nightmare, and welcome back to Rose Guns Days, Season 3. I had a stroke in the middle of my sentence. So, where do I even begin with last episode? Apparently, Yuki's actual name is Meishu, or Megzu. I think it's pronounced Meishu. It would be very weird if it was Meixu. But apparently she does have some sort of relation with the Golden Dragon Society, and the fact that she's basically Meishu's little sister. Yeah, that is many levels of just okay, alright. Why am I getting a weird Romeo and Juliet sort of situation here? Yuki being in one side of the Golden Dragon Society, and then we got freaking Alan over here with Primavera, two opposing factions that are kind of working together, sort of, considering, but they're still kind of against each other? I don't know. I can't tell who's the good guys anymore. Oh, by the way, Crazy Alfred's back too. Yes, it has been quite some time since I made an appearance. Hello? Oh, Davis. Hello. Hey, James Tomatake. Long time no see. How've you been? I hear you're doing well, Davis. What do you say since it's been so long? Dinner. My treat. Oh, no, I think I'll pass. I have such sensitive skin, you know. Spend too much time under the sun and it swells up all red. Lately, my skin's been getting even worse. The doctor's even forbidden me to drink or exercise. It was a total lie. The desk right next to him was covered with empty alcohol bottles. Though I hear you've been pretty active for all that. Huh? Where'd you get that, eh? None at all, my body's so frail. When it came to speaking in an annoying way, Davis had no equal. In the dim, hideout-like underground room, Davis stuck the cigarette he had been smoking into a pile of cigarette butts, laughing obnoxiously. He played the unpleasant fool, but his senses were frighteningly sharp. He was already aware that people were after his life, so he was lying low. Well, I did hear you'd start up an amusing business lately. Amusing? Oh, that's a misunderstanding. You've got the wrong idea, don't you? I heard Madame Rose was working really hard to get that association started. I've been helping out in my own way. Oh, is that so? After all, that Primavera whatever distribution association won't start unless everyone pitches in. So I thought it'd be important to start influencing my opinions. Or influencing opinions, goddammit. Influencing opinions. I see. It seems everyone has their own thoughts. But it'd get messy if the resentment started to creep in after the association was established, right? I thought if I uncovered the unsatisfied elements and opinions beforehand, that'd help Madame Rose as well. What a gutless thing to say, when you're setting up your own opposing faction! Even James, who was a relatively genial person, had to crush his cigarette to hold back his irritation. So then, are you influencing opinions as a volunteer or as a businessman? As a volunteer, of course. I wouldn't do something this troublesome if you asked me. You see, I'm satisfied by quietly handling behind-the-scenes work, even if no one tells me to or thanks me later. I guess you could say I'm not used to receiving praise. Well, being unable to handle sunlight's also to blame. Didn't it used to be that your organs were weak? You even bragged about getting a tan on your yacht with that American woman. Huh? Nah, you're just remembering it wrong. I was born with weak skin. It really is a pain. So, before I remember it wrong again, let's talk business. Business? Oh, but I'm really busy right now. My schedule's packed until the year after next. But I can at least hear what you have to say. I want to buy your volunteer work. Primavera will directly handle influencing opinions in the opposing faction. So I want you to cease your involvement in this matter. But I can do it better than you guys. All the others feel threatened by you mafia types, so they don't want to deal with you directly. I think you'd better leave this to me, a veteran negotiator with connections on both sides. Hey Davis, you'll never make money off this without going through me eventually, right? How could someone as hated as you profit off this without going through me? Ah, that's pretty cruel, calling me hated. I've got tons of friends and acquaintances. Well, hear me out. The seeds you've planted have grown nicely and it's about time for the harvest. And also, I'd like to resolve this quickly and put Cyrus in my debt. Would you make a deal for 1 million Japanese dollars? I'll negotiate with the higher-ups. They say they won't go any higher than that. I'm happy with taking 20%. I'll deposit 800,000 in the account of your choice. How does that sound? Sounds pretty nice. A win-win deal for us two. Now that's the sort of business I'm talking about. But I owe a lot to you, and have for a long time. It wouldn't feel right to leave you with a mere 200K share. Oh? You're worried about my share. You see, I put the people who help me before my own well-being. I'm sorry, but that's my policy. And again, it's thanks to this concern for my friends that people rely on me so much. On the other end of the line, James finally chewed through his cigarette. At any rate, no one could hold a candle to this man when it came to ticking people off. Why don't we increase your share even more? Well, the bigger it is, the happier I am. So, how much? Forget 200K. Why don't we make it $2 million? I think you deserve that much money. 2 million? Now there's a magnificent sum. So you want to split that between the two of us? No. 2 million is your share. After all, you're going to take 20%, right? Let's try getting 10 million out of Madame Rose. She wants a distribution association, right? This is according to my acquaintances. But it sounds like the GDS and the others are after City 23. The mochis made by Wan Yun Hong are still sitting there uneaten. All that's needed is for someone to pour soy sauce on City 23 and eat it up. Or at least, there's a bunch of mafia big shots in the neighboring cities saying that sort of thing. Oh, but keep this hush-hush. Davis had everything pre-calculated. He was blackmailing Madame Rose after taking full account of her haste. Well, this guy can go eat a dick for all I care. 10 million Japanese dollars was a lot, but it wasn't an impossible sum to pay for hurrying up the distribution network. They wouldn't be able to pay if it was viewed as succumbing to a threat, but they could pass it off as a negotiation fee, or a bribe. Now that Primavera was in the position of trying to dash across a dangerous bridge, it was like a feast waiting to happen for a man like Davis. Okay, I'll try negotiating with that number, but could we at least meet face to face? I want to work out the details with you. What about tonight? Oh, tonight? Well, about tonight I'm really sorry. I got plans, you see. Don't think I'll be available for a while. Really sorry about that. Then could you at least give me a way to get in touch? The bosses are in a hurry. They want to form a rapid understanding with you. But I really am busy. It's not like I'm always near a phone. I'll contact you tomorrow. Would you be able to give me your answer then? I'm sure Madame Rose will be able to make a quick decision. She's a wise person after all. I'm sure she'll take notice of my hard work. Jeez. Okay, I'll be waiting. Later. James set down the receiver, sank into the sofa, and let out a big sigh.
10 million, huh? The bastard!
That man's made too many enemies. He probably plans to leave Tokyo once this is over. What about your end? Have you been able to find his location? Sorry. We set out a net, but no such luck. In that case, we'll have to rely on the wandering dogs, huh? Bring cold drinks to Charles and the others in the other room. Sounds like they're thinking pretty hard. Boss, who are those brats? And I thought Charles was just a trainee dealer.
Oh, Stuart's good with his hands, but he's got no class at that.
He's not quite up to snuff for the elegance of our hall. He's a poor kid who grew up in the alleys, right? Why someone like that working here?
Did somebody call me?
Huh? Don't tell me you really don't know who that kid is. He's one of the Wandering Dogs, the independent team under the wild dogs that Wayne Kun trusts most. Backdoor employment agency incident, the soy sauce embezzlement incident, as well as others that led to that feud. The Wandering Dogs are responsible for finding evidence related to all those. Though they've been pushed back to square one for certain reasons, they were once part of the Consigliere's inner circle, serving as Madame Rose's personal guard. After their many accomplishments, they were given the special honor of participating in the official exec pasta gathering. Even during the soy sauce war, they were involved in the secret operations that filled a vital role that led to Primavera to victory. In what way is Charles Kun of the Wandering Dogs not suitable for rich mom bought bamboo?
Did somebody call my name?
This was the first time the three Wandering Dogs had worked together, after splitting up to further their growth following Zell's departure. Wayne had ordered them to join forces. He decided that the only ones who could quickly catch the trail of this troublesome target were those familiar with everything from back alleys to the sewers. And for those three, this became a chance to see how much they had all grown since that day. There was no relaxed atmosphere, no sharing of fond memories at their reunion. Their gazes were serious, filled with determination to meet the expectations of the man they still respected as their only boss. I'm just happy they're all together again.
He's in trouble with the GDS too, so we don't need to worry about Chinatown.
They say they sent a net around the luxury restaurants he likes, but he's never showed up.
I see. So he realizes he's the kind of villain people want dead.
Running away and hiding are totally different things. His job's not over yet. He'll be inside City 23. That's the one thing we know for sure.
The table was covered with a mass of maps and bits of information. They analyzed that information from multiple angles using the senses they'd honed since that day. During this 1 year, they had grown spectacularly. When Zell returned one day, they wanted to be able to rebuild the Wandering Dogs team.
We got our fellow rats throughout the city searching, but not a single clue.
That can't be right. It's impossible to hide in the back streets without any of the rats catching wind of it.
Yeah. In other words, he isn't in an alley, a cheap hotel, or a sewer. We can rely on them. Since they can't find him, that proves he isn't anywhere that rats go.
Oh? Sounds like the lone wolf Oliver has gotten pretty used to trusting people.
Shut up!
During this past year, Oliver had learned how to handle people from Wayne. Not how to give people overwhelming orders. Instead, it was how to ask people to do things. For example, no kind of training can suddenly double your strength. But if you ask for help, you can double your fighting force easily. In fact, you can multiply your strength by up 10 or 20 by gathering people. Oliver realized that this was the next skill he needed to gain after fighting and handling guns. So Oliver began to imitate Wayne and share his wigs with alley orphans. That accumulated experience of negotiation with people was slowly erasing Oliver's once fierce lone wolf soul. He improved.
Rich people are really good at sniffing out people of their class.
In other words,
If he's managed to trick leaders of an affluent merchants alliance, he's got to be dressed pretty nice. So he's got to be neat with a sense of cleanliness.
in other words, he won't be hiding in some moldy hole.
He'll need a shower, a closet, a dresser, and it'll be some place where he wouldn't stand out when he walks around dressed all fancy.
I see. So we've got to search uptown, not downtown.
The captain's been investigating for us too, but it looks like this guy's not being backed by the American military. So the person hiding him isn't in the American military or Chinatown, but still has enough money. Yeah, I've been looking around too. That sort of loner villain who craves the limelight will die if he doesn't have a woman to accept him.
A woman, huh?
Probably a luxury girl who works alone and lives in a hotel. That narrows down the possibilities a lot.
Oliver wasn't the only one who had grown.
Both Charles and Nina had grown in their own ways.
Charles had worked in James's casino, observing all kinds of rich people from high society types to new money. And he'd also started studying how to act so that they would accept him. He was still a rough blade, so his coworkers laughed at how funny he looked.
However, studying the world furthest from their ally origins would surely become a powerful weapon. Nina returned to being a lady of the evening, using her cheery nature to expand her personal connections. Bullied by her seniors at work and had annoyed and discouraged her. But her character was naturally suited to being a lady of the evening. She was now using her distinctive style of speech as a weapon to show off her personality as she spread her network across the world of the evening. Zell would come back someday. They were totally focused on being able to surprise her when that day came, so they continued to hone their skills enthusiastically. Damn right. You're goddamn right.
Butler! America, China, and Japan. It's been a while since we've all gathered together.
The war with Caleb feels as though it was something from the distant past.
Huh? Why are you speaking Japanese so awkwardly?
No. It would be rude of me to do any less.
So you're Meiju-san's...
Ah, yes. Please start by introducing this lovely lady. A pleasure to meet you. I'm Captain Philip Butler.
Pleasure's mine, Captain. Your Japanese sounds incredibly native.
And your English was splendid. If only I could greet you in fluent Chinese. This would be perfect.
I'm pleased to meet you, Madam Rose. My name is Li Meishu. I'll be your unified contact with Chinatown. Nice to meet you, Meishu-san. Still, Meishu-san, you really worked fast.
Whereas we, the ones who proposed this, still haven't settled our end. It's an embarrassment.
When a culture has been protected for over 1,000 years, it can dash over 1,000 miles in a night when the time comes.
Don't worry yourself, Concilier. It just means we were able to finish organizing our profits quickly. Monetary calculations are a specialty of the Chinese.
When it comes to that, we Americans aren't any worse off. Thanks to Rose-chan's rapid decision-making, those diseased folks who die if they can't keep raking in money manage to sweep the opposing party out of the board of directors.
The tyranny of the majority in your US democracy is truly a terrifying thing.
Oh, sure. Not that we hold a candle to you guys.
Enough of that, you two. Then again, I think this is how the world should be. If the world only had one ruler, you just end up with a class society. A world that exists only to oppress those on the lower rungs. However, when you have two kings with equal power, tyranny only helps your opponent. We can cultivate each other's character and bring peace to the world.
Are you speaking of a Cold War situation?
I guess even a Cold War with both sides pointing nuclear weapons at each other could be called a peaceful one. Walls are only secure when there's support from both sides and all forces are in equilibrium.
Though it can be hard on the wall that's feeling pressure from both sides. If it's careless enough to lean on to either side, the resistance can be fierce.
On the other hand, it gets support from both camps, which seems like a pretty nice position to me. I see all three of us understand the positions we stand in. What we want is stability. We don't want to stand in opposition to anyone.
The US feels the same. At the very least, we don't approve of trouble breaking out in City 23.
It is the same for us. We truly hope our respective groups of comrades can interact peacefully.
Of course, they were whitewashing the issue. They all felt the expectations of their respective camps. Butler couldn't afford to overlook the encroachment of Chinatown anymore. The Americans wanted to get involved proactively, offering attractive deals so the Japanese merchants didn't get won over by Chinatown. As for Meiju, he wanted to make it known that Chinatown wanted peace. Even without war, Chinatown could use its vibrant knack for expansion to steadily grow its territory, just as it had been doing. Primavera was scheming to have America and China to compete with each other, while they got juicy deals from both sides. If things went bad, they'd be fated to get crushed underfoot by these giants. However, that's the path the minority must tread. They had to constantly convince both sides that the Japanese were too sweet a prize to give up to their opponents. Ugh. Honestly, Primavera is just... At this point in the world right now, Primavera is stuck in a very... What's the word I'm looking for? It's in a very bad position right now. Originally, Primavera had wanted to use this meeting to announce that all their preparations have been completed. However, Davis's intervention had thrown the voting for the Distribution Association into chaos. By the regulations of their alliance, the establishment of an association couldn't happen without a 2/3 majority vote. They were businessmen, not members of the criminal underworld. So it was necessary to resolve things democratically, at least according to their rules. Of course, there were quite a few discontented people. However, they had kept their opinions to themselves, afraid of getting involved with the Mafia. The plan had been take the vote and then wait as this potential unsatisfied element gradually gave up, but... Davis had fired them up, gathered them together, and turned them into a faction. He had basically given them a blank check to act, spreading the word that he had ties to the underworld and the occupying forces and would get them a favorable deal. Partly because of Primavera's drop in reputation after the soy sauce war, a group of merchants agreed and accepted Davis's terms. It was unsure whether he had gathered enough people to change the outcome of the vote. However, by its very nature, its 8023 Distribution Association couldn't exist without the support of all merchants in the Japanese colony. Even if the vote passed, every member of the group that lost the vote would become a source of problems in the future. If they left Davis be, the seeds of discord could grow. They had to eliminate him as quickly as possible.
Do you think it'll still take a while to convince him?
That is my responsibility. We will convince Mr. Davis Degawa.
I'm sure he'll understand if you talk to him. I'm counting on you.
Leave this to me and forget it.
After erasing Davis, they would leak that he was a famous swindler of the underworld who had been making plots surrounding the association. The merchants were fundamentally cowards. They were only able to rebel because they had Davis guarding their backs. If he disappeared, they would spin like a weather vane and support the association immediately. Damn.
All you who have gathered here, before we begin our discussion, I would like to welcome a new member to this conference.
No objections here. The more boobies, the better.
Ooh, I have no objections either. It has been too long, Stella-san.
Stella, please take a seat.
Hello there.
I'm pleased to meet you, everyone.
Meishu-san, let me introduce you. This is Stella Maogi. From now on, she'll be handling this deal along with Consigliere Richard.
I can't fucking understand what they're saying! Still, it's a bit sad. Stella-chan, are you really quitting your job at the club? Really?
It won't be a complete retirement right away. I'd like to gradually shift my focus to this realm, learning as I go. The connections and speaking techniques she's learned through the club will become her weapons.
After all, here we resolve all problems by talking, while also pointing guns at each other.
I plan to work hard so I can quickly stand on my own and assist Madame Rose.
Huh.
Stella Maogi had decided to quit her job as a lady of the evening.
To Richard, the decision had seemed sudden. But of course she had reached this conclusion after a long time thinking in her own way. I bet you that moment talking with Keith and playing with, Oh, Meryl. Okay, we're actually getting Meryl's reaction.
What? Y'all quitting? It's true you've been getting more wrinkles lately, but it's still nothing you can't cut with makeup. Don't worry.
Ah! Thanks for trying to stop me. I'm serious.
Really? What? Is it time to pay the piper or something?
Something like that. You're right. I'm getting on in years. I've lived as I pleased, uninterested in anyone but myself. But now I'm at an age where I can't do that.
So it's time for Granny to retire. Ha! Now this club's mine.
Ladies of the evening usually retire when they're tired of the job or they get a man. But Meryl didn't think Stella fit either of those cases. Stella had always enjoyed using her body to skillfully toy with men and rake in the dough. However, Meryl vaguely understood. Stella's change of heart had begun the day Rose fainted. We know how hard Rose has worked all alone. Know it better than anyone else.
She quelled the ladies' factional struggles, united Primavera, and then suddenly became their representative after being dragged into a fight with the mafia. But now, she cared for all of her countrymen, not just ladies of the evening, and continued to work without rest. Furthermore, Consigliere Richard was Stella's big brother. She must have heard more than anyone about the urgent matters that always surrounded Primavera, leaving no room for rest. This is basically like her own way of, essentially, she's still with Primavera, but she's trying to actively help it out in a different way that she feels she's only able to do now. Do you remember? Remember that day when we were chased by Caleb's bunch and escaped into the rain? I remember. That day, we accepted that girl as our madam and swore to each other to support her. They acknowledged the heavy burden Rose bore, rose up together and swore to support her. They took up guns along with Rose and threw themselves into the fight against the Caleb family. Then the Caleb family crumbled and peace came to City 23. After that, the Primavera family was formed, and we gained stability as ladies of the evening. Protecting a workplace for ladies of the evening was a big accomplishment for us. That's right, a big accomplishment. But Rose didn't stop there. She kept on, moving forward. And what about us? Did we move forward with her and try to support her? We didn't do anything. We just watched Rose from behind and enjoyed the peace she had given us. But since the fight against Caleb ended, we haven't done anything to support that girl. When Rose fainted, I finally realized. When that girl's gone, everything will end. The resilience needed to be madam isn't something that came to her naturally. We just promoted her because she was good at dealing with factions. Alright. If we knew Primavera would have turned out like this, it might have been better to choose someone like Amanda. And yet, she's unable to retreat or even rest. At this rate, something terrible is going to happen. You've thought the same thing, haven't you? Well, yeah. You're smart. You're clever and you're good with dealing with elective types. In a three-legged race alongside your consigliere brother, you'll always be able to help Rose's work in many ways. But, sorry, I'm just an idiot who's useless at everything except drinking. The only subject I can brag about having studying is English. During my rebellious phase, I started hating everything about Japan. I studied English like an idiot because I thought it was cool. But I didn't study anything else. I got pissed and decided an idiot might as well have the idiot as a redeeming trait. Now I finally regret it. If only I'd studied more. Jesus! Even though my friends are fighting to protect our future, I'm not qualified to join that fight. Even Meryl couldn't fail to notice that Rose was worn out by her fierce work schedule. However, Meryl didn't have the learning or knowledge to serve in Rose's place. Even looking at numbers made her headache, much less written characters. So she couldn't do anything except pretend not to notice. It was pathetic! But you can help me. If you supported me, I'd be able to support Rose that much more. Stella, please take care of my girls. Of course, I'll back you. You sort of keep forgetting this, but we're enemies, aren't we? That's right. We've threatened each other in the past, saying we'd pull the trigger without hesitation the next time we saw the other's face. I thought we'd end up killing each other someday, but times change. You know what? The times don't really change. You're right. Time just advances. The only question is whether people can change enough to keep up. When Rose's ideals are achieved, and we've been freed from the responsibility of supporting Primavera, when that happens, I'll settle things with you. Are you promising me a graveyard showdown? I'm the only one who gets to kill you. That's hilarious. You're gonna get killed by me. Your life is gonna be mine. That is the weirdest relationship I think I've ever seen between two people. It's like, oh my god. Without any sort of signal, they brought their fists together at the same time.
Then they lightly pressed them together. On that day, they took a new first step. When Rose heard, she was happy. She cried out loud. She was already starting to realize that she couldn't make her ideals a reality by her own hand. She needed comrades to support each other. Comrades to inherit their struggles. Rose decided to accept Stella and Meryl's determination. And so, what was once a three-way feud over the position of Primavera's madam finally ended. Amanda lost her position, and Stella retired. The last to remain was Meryl. Madam Meryl. When people called her that, she smiled wryly and retired that title. By now, Madam wasn't a name to be used by a leader of Ladies of the Evening. That name was meant for one who led Steady 23. No, led her countrymen into the future. It's crazy seeing how things have changed since the very beginning, you know?
Hey, who is it? Oh, it's Davis. You didn't call me last night. Now I'm angry.
Sorry about that. I'm always so busy with work, you know. I got suddenly called in by the GHQ. MacArthur keeps pestering me to become his advisor. Dang! And General Lang asked me to do the same thing just last week. It's tough being popular.
Oh, wow, Davis. It's so incredible that even General MacArthur trusts you. Hey, by the way, when do we leave on that cruise around the world? I'll bet it's packed with celebrities. I'd like a whole bunch of nice dresses so I can fit in.
I'll be finishing a huge job really soon. Then I'll have my hands on a lot of money. I'll pack it into an attaché case, and then I'm off to see the world.
Hey, let's have a party to celebrate before we go. We can open the best champagne.
Let's do that at a different hotel. Pack your bags. My woman can't live in a beat-up hotel like that one for long.
Oh, I was thinking the same thing. The service here is terrible.
I'll come for you tomorrow evening. Get yourself all dressed up and wait for me.
Ugh. Damn.
Bingo.
Nina had used human wave tactics to wiretap all women under suspicion. Oh my god, Nina! However, she had her eyes on this woman in particular. Most of the women who took customers on their own and lived in hotels were high-class girls. Obviously, their customers were all high-class as well, and they could tell those customers apart by their atmosphere and appearance. However, Davis is a liar and a show-off. He couldn't have possibly have tricked any of the high-class girls. Which meant it made more sense to suspect girls who worked alone for some different reason. Someone who wasn't cooperative, who had left the protection of an organization. A person who might swallow Davis's lies with more ambition than brains and who lived in a hotel. Nina narrowed her list down to women who fulfilled these conditions, keeping her net up at all times. Damn. Nina removed her headphones and picked up the receiver right away.
Wait, you found her? Holy shit, that was easy. My apologies for keeping you waiting. You called me during an important conference with the GDS and the occupying forces. I hope your news is happy enough to be worth it.
Oh, we got a lead on that Davis bastard. Our information says he'll be going to meet a girl tomorrow night. Looks like his luck finally ran out.
If he's still alive, then it isn't happy news yet. Erase him immediately.
So, we're on as planned?
Of course. If possible, I would like to end this as a missing person case. Please erase him quietly. If we let it out that he's a swindler who ran off with the money, his sympathizers would be disillusioned.
If it got out that he had been killed by the Mafia, his sympathizers would make a scene about it being Primavera's doing, and the problem would get worse. Yes, they gotta do this properly, or else it's going to backfire immensely. Erasing him quietly was vastly preferable. Indeed.
I know. Alan and Keith won't start a war. There's just gonna be one quiet gunshot. But what about this woman? We can figure some way to quiet the hotel, but what if the woman makes a fuss?
Why even ask? Simply add the sound of another gunshot.
What? I figured you'd say that.
All factors that impede Rosa's work must be limited without mercy.
Ooh. So, even the great Richard's now able to say terrifying things on a cue card.
I see. When words like that accumulate, they can become thorns that torment you. With your words, I can understand the pain Rose had to suffer.
I'm sorry, what the hell was that? Did you just have a bit of a stroke?
I might have had a little bit of a stroke. These past few days have been quite stressful for me.
Sorry about that. I'll stop making jokes. Hey, did you get word to Alan and Keith? They're already at the location.
Damn right we are. Okay, let's see how the best boys are doing. Woo! Talk about a lonely street. I like it. Let's set up on this street. Around that building looks pretty good, right? I'd give it a 70. But if there's nowhere better, that'll probably do. Oh, what's this thing? The pair of them decided to set up in front of David's woman's hotel. The lonely street in front of that cheap hotel was dark, and hardly anyone passed through it at night. A gunfight might be a different story, but the residents would probably assume they misheard it as if a single gunshot went off. Still, sucks for that girl. The man she's waiting for ain't gonna show up. It's possible she'll be waiting outside with her trunk. That happens. Too bad for her. I guess we can only pray that doesn't happen. They left their car and comrades to wait in the next alley over. Once the sniping was over, the others would quickly retrieve the corpse. They could throw it into the car's trunk and let the disposal team handle the rest. We're counting on you, Oliver Coon, and the wild dogs. Understood. You can come out as soon as you hear gunfire. Try not to get too tense and loiter around, looking suspicious. Understood. We'll wait here discreetly until we hear gunfire. Okay, we'll be leaving the ground up to the little kids. Guess it's time for us to get to business. Where are you planning to shoot from? Sorry, trade secret. What a combination of these kids all working together. I mean, some of them aren't really our kids, but you know what I mean! Oh boy! The sniping location they chose is the roof of a twisted apartment at the end of the street. It was a patchwork building made up of mass-produced inferior goods during the Reconstruction rush. There were hardly any inhabitants, and it was conveniently placed. The distance between their location and the front of the hotel was a bit over 200 meters. That distance was hardly a problem for Keith's skill. Would the target's keen instincts be able to sniff out a gun barrel pointing at him from 200 meters away? That's all there was to this contest. Okay, let's set up camp here. This could be a long one. Be ready to stay holed up for about a week. Alan set down the heavy-looking bag he had been carrying. Inside were food and drink. They really were planning to spend several days on the ceiling. According to the wiretap, their target would be coming for the woman at 10 tomorrow night. However, this is a tricky customer. There was no guarantee he'd show up at the planned time. Definitely not. He might be heading here right now, or he might show up several days late. Keith immediately got into sniping position. However, there was no tenseness about him. He looked as calm as someone sticking a fishing rod into a pond. It's not uncommon for snipers to wait several tens of hours for a target. Keith opened the guitar case he had been carrying and took out his work tool. It was a cutting-edge prototype Soviet sniper rifle, which he had obtained through special means. Special means? The gun was far lighter than older sniper rifles and well suited for problem erasers. It was superior to older models in all sorts of ways, including round capacity and rapid-fire capabilities. Of course, he didn't intend to really rely merely on the advanced capabilities of his gun. It had been remodeled Keith-style down to the smallest details. You see, here's something that I like. If I press this little button, it'll play Barney the Dinosaur's theme.
Kind of keeps things distracting. Naturally, the stock had been shaved down to fit better in his hands, and it was tuned to perfection. The trigger was set to so light that a feather could set it off, so as not to get in the way of Keith's animal instincts. Very specific! Dangerous, but then again, this is this mysterious Keith, so it makes sense, I guess. The variable scope was adjusted uniquely in a crazy way. No one other than him would be able to use it. God, don't try to shoot me, man! He had made countless minor modifications to every part of it, which included finding the perfect balance between the weight needed to hold the gun stable and its natural lightness. It was the ultimate customized rifle, fitted to match every one of Keith's needs. Damn. Nice. He carefully searched for a position it would be easy to shoot from, trying out various postures. Davis had probably arrived by car. However, they didn't know which car. So every time a car stopped, they would have to check if any of the people getting on or off were the target. In addition, their window for sniping might be only a few seconds long. They were prepared to use those reflexes at any moment in the next 24 hours, possibly longer. Should stay cool for a while. Please don't even use the word cool unless it's Sub-Zero. Whoa, you're pretty aggressive. Restive, not depressed. And I've got to rest. What the heck's that? I love these two. Finally, there was a rest break in the three-party conference over distribution between Rose, Meiju, and Butler. It had been a busy meeting, with each side laying out their claims without holding anything back.
Yes, I think it was time very well spent. Time that couldn't be avoided if we are to lay bare each party's claims and the problem that would surely arise. It soothes my heart to hear you say that. I'm sorry, Meishu-san. Even though this is your first time, the debate got so heated. No problem. A meat that doesn't get heated is no better than cold french fries.
Oh my. But if it's too hot, you can't put it in your mouth, right?
Ooh, once you cool your head, it will chill to a suitable temperature. Furthermore, it is a good opportunity to gauge each other's enthusiasm.
I agree. It was quite valuable simply for confirming the fact that a distribution union would be beneficial to all three parties.
Richard, who left partway through the meeting, had been in high spirits ever since his return. He had apparently been called away because of some urgent business with Cyrus. So it must have been some good news.
After all, no one would be interested unless there was something in it for them as well.
Exactly. If you're just talking about ideals, that brings it up to second rate. Add money into the mix, and it's first rate.
Before I even realized it, you have become quite a formidable disputant, Rose-san.
Not at all. I'm the same as you all. There are responsibilities I bear and countrymen I must protect. If retreat is forbidden, then we can only fight on the same playing field.
Her gentle smile calmed the atmosphere. However, Stella was still struck dumb, at a loss for words. After all, until a few moments ago, this place had been a war zone, with each group digging at the other with cold-blooded words. Come to think of it, when she was a lady of the evening, she would only ever encountered Butler and Meiju during fun banquets. Though Butler would sometimes raise his voice when complaining about his work, it was somebody else's problem. She just had to smile and urge him on. Tonight, Stella had seen combative expressions on Butler's and Meiju's faces that she had never seen before. On reflection, she had only ever chatted with them happily over drinks before. Even though she had known that they had this side to them, it had been a considerable shock, and it made her feel pathetic. Rose had been doing this sort of thing all this time, constantly and without rest. Rose, the one Stella had sometimes looked down upon as being far less skilled at manipulation and consensus building than Amanda and herself. That was ridiculous. Rose had been courageous, composed, and capable of making truly impressive calculations as she fought in that debate. I think you're seeing how much Rose has, she's grown. She's become much stronger, in a way. The others had long since realized that she was trying to pit America and China against each other, profiting from their fight while getting cheap deals from both. But despite that, she had to convince them that joining the discussion was to their own benefits. So she had to increase those benefits so they would be sufficient for both America and China. Butler and Meiju had apparently colluded beforehand to some degree, so they didn't make concessions easily. However, American and Chinese expectations were slightly different. It's kind of weird, like, they're all kind of on friendly terms, but they are able to backstab each other due to business, I imagine. It's like on some level, they are good friends, but whenever it comes to business, they have to be enemies. It's a very weird situation and sort of relationship, I think. Meiju had nothing to lose if Rose's distribution association plan came to a standstill, but Butler was in a slightly different position. If Japanese society didn't fix the frailty of their distribution system, the entire city would eventually be swallowed up by Chinatown. The American occupying forces couldn't afford to overlook this Chinatown transformation. Before the meeting started, Rose had predicted that the American-Chinese collusion would lead to Meiju coming out aggressively, so she made a secret agreement with Butler. Also, seeing all their expressions change like this. As a result, the meeting proceeded with Butler, who wanted a resolution somewhere between the other two parties' aims, acting as an intermediary. As all three parties made compromises to the others, they worked out certain points of mutual agreement. Stella had been unable to do anything but watch over this melee of words, stunned. It was decided that the problems raised in tonight's meeting would be sent as homework for each party, with details to be hammered out at the next meeting. However, they had been successful in reaching a broad outline of an agreement. Since Rose wanted to quickly build an association, removing the Japanese vulnerability to outsiders disrupting their distribution system, it was probably fair to chalk this up as a success for her. So, what about the other two? Were they hanging their heads in exhaustion? Or were they shaking with uncontrollable anger, unable to get over their hatred of each other? Not in the slightest. They were chatting peacefully as though the formal talk was all over and done with. Preparations for a drinking party began immediately. There was even an after-party being set up. See, again, it's like that weird thing. Once business is all over, they're just basically good friends in a way. Stella had to take her hat off to Rose's vitality, as the latter smiled and asked everyone to have fun drinking for a change of pace.
If you're overwhelmed by something like this, you'll have trouble later.
What are you talking about? How rude. She tried to look tough, but she was apparently unable to fool her brother.
This is Rose's womb.
Is she going to keep doing this all the time?
It is her belief that doing so is the responsibility of one who voices her ideals. However, her ideals are not something that can be accomplished alone in a single generation.
I know that. That's why her frustration with her own insufficiency got caught in her throat. However, she bit it back and swallowed it down. She tightened her chest and let it burn out inside her. It's not like it's something she can do and I can't. It was just a sudden shock, so I was a little surprised. I'm fine now.
You may have plenty of experience dealing with women, but this is your first time in a discussion with men, is it not?
That's true, outside of the bedroom, but I understand now. I won't make a fool of myself like this again.
Indeed. Let us stand at the front along with Rose.
Yeah. The trail to the future isn't blazed by any person. We all blaze it together. And that starts right now. That's good. Good.
I can't say I approve of your methods of negotiation.
I was under the impression that I worked hard to gain the most benefit for our countrymen.
Negotiations are a competition to see how you can get your opponent to sit on the chair you want of their own free will. You negotiate violently, as if you were dragging your opponent down into a chair by force and crushing it underneath him.
You weren't taught that while studying abroad. It was once the British Empire.
That's right. My friends in Europe are all intellectually and gentlemanly. When people like you negotiate the way you did, that just spreads the misconception that the Chinese are violent.
To demand double what you desire and force a deadlock. Then call it a draw, give up half, and gain exactly what you wanted. That is the most effective method of negotiation. Your method of dealing is exemplary, but not realistic. You must have more practical study.
Use your violent methods all you like in the criminal underworld. However, making deals for the Distribution Association is the job of my honest business. I say no thank you to underworld negotiation techniques. Violence isn't negotiation. It's just a human rights violation that tramples over your opponent. I hate the Mafia. What do you mean you're doing it for your countrymen? You make me sick.
Ooh, the little sister on Rise of the Bang. I should have brought my little sister from the States. Angie?
Captain, pardon me for interrupting during your chat.
Huh? What is it? A secret? What could it be?
When the report was whispered into Butler's ears, his joking face went immediately serious.
I never heard anything about that. Damn it.
Captain? Is something wrong?
Pardon me, Rose-chan, Stella-chan, and Meishu-san, too. A bit of urgent business just came up. Sorry, but I'll take my leave for the day.
That's a shame, Captain. I was hoping for a chance to strengthen our relationship.
Urgent business for the man in charge of maintaining public order. Ooh, how foreboding.
Did some drunk start fighting or something?
If you left the matter in our hands, there would be no need to trouble yourself, Captain.
Captain, is there anything we can do to assist you?
It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. I'll see you later.
Ooh, this is concerning.
I wonder what's gotten into him.
I imagine the mites of this city stirred up some nighttime disturbance with each other. In any event, it's nothing for you to trouble yourself with. Please leave all minor matters to us.
Really? Thanks, Richard-kun.
Uh-oh. Their information said that Davis would appear the following night. However, they had heard that he was a man with good instincts. It was possible he'd get an early start and show up tonight. On the other hand, it was hard to imagine that turning into a case that would force Butler to leave early at this hour. Could it be that Alan and Keith failed in their sniping, leading to a large-scale gunfight? No!
Wayne, have you received word of any activity?
No, nothing.
I see. Then perhaps my fears were unfounded. As usual, I can get rid of my habit as always supposing the worst.
In actual fact, his fears were unfounded. Davis still hadn't shown up at this woman's hotel. Alan and Keith were still in sniping position, sitting still as they waited for their prey. After all, Butler had left early for a completely different reason. For what, though?
Hey, Xiaolan. You shouldn't be up at this hour.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm not a child.
She glared at Meishu, threatening her as loudly as her hoarse voice would allow. Meishu couldn't really make out the words, and she sat there wondering if Xiaolan might be in a bad mood. That's a good girl, Xiaolan. You came in through the door instead of the window this time.
I'm only doing it because you promised me a treat.
Oh. Xiaolan's whisper brought an instant change to Meishu's expression. However, it seemed more casual and amused than Butler's had been. After finishing a report, Xiaolan slipped away like a cat who had gotten bored of their game. What's going on?
Don't tell me urgent business came up for you too.
Not at all. I plan to continue relaxing here. Though I wonder how long you'll be able to relax. Rose couldn't make out Chinese, so, as was his usual habit, Meishu had muttered to himself in that language. However, Stella just happened to hear. She could understand it. When he realized that his words to himself had been overheard, Meishu shrugged without any sign of embarrassment. Meishu-san, what on earth is going on? There was a sudden personnel change within the American military. Nothing more. A personnel change? The American military? Is that what the captain's sudden business was about? Something about an officer being sent from the GHQ for a special mission with regard to the endless feuds in City 23. Oh no! It's kind of like what happened with... Oh. I wonder if Butler's gonna go through a similar situation to Meishu whenever he had to deal with Wong. Like, maybe some people in the American military are getting pissed off that Butler's actions aren't, like, calming things down, so they probably sent somebody else in to take care of it or something like that.
Oh boy.
After all, there seems to be no end to the dark rumors that the City 23 Occupying Forces HQ has been colluding with a certain Japanese mafia.
Of course, Primavera was only able to spar with the GDS in City 23 because of their corrupt relationship with the Occupying Forces HQ. However, if someone appeared and tried to clean up that corruption, it would affect not only Butler but Primavera as well. During the Soy Sauce War, mafias within American military districts had caused an uproar by burning down storehouses in Chinese military districts. They did make significant cash arrangements with the GHQ through Butler beforehand, so it never led to an emergency, but maybe the disturbance had been too big after all. It's possible it led to someone in the GHQ getting off their fat asses.
The man is Major Gabriel Kaburaya. That is a hard word to say. We don't know details, but considering that Captain Butler didn't hear of his arrival until after the fact, it's hard to imagine them being within the same faction.
Major? So he's the captain's superior?
Oh! Oh! Oh, no. Okay.
Yes, the Director General is waiting. Said he wished to discuss the future with you as soon as possible.
Those geezers are probably worried about whether they'll be able to keep earning their pocket change. Please go on ahead. I'll be there soon. I wonder if we're gonna get to see this Gabriel person. Butler would stop by his room first. He needed to be alone and reset his mind, if only for a few minutes. Sheesh. These geezers are too jumpy. When Butler's superiors had heard that a major had been dispatched from the GHQ as a special officer, they must have been horrified. They were afraid that someone on the inside had made an accusation of corruption and that the officer was here to investigate. Their business had been silently acknowledged thanks to generous sharings with high GHQ officials. However, there were factions even within the GHQ. Each one was involved with corruption, and all tried to drag down opposing factions to have it all of themselves. It was possible that an opposing faction had sent this officer in search of a scandal to bring down their rival. During the last year or two, City 23 had gotten a bit too active. The nighttime disturbance that ended the war with Caleb had been a one-time deal, so they were able to cover it up. However, that high-wage policy had caused disturbances in the surrounding cities. Disturbances, as if I had a stroke. And the Soy Sauce War had even sparked chaos in the Chinese districts. Also, when the Soy Sauce War was resolved, it became clear that many mafias in eastern Tokyo were cooperating, and this info had even reached those in charge of maintaining order in neighboring cities. The City 23 HQ, which was connected to Primavera, had been able to explain away these disturbances, but... well, it'll all work out. There's nothing you can't cover up in this world. I'll treat those GHQ old farts to plenty of hush money. After that, I just need to show them some data that looks good on the surface, then ask about the major's preference and boobs. If I throw 4 to 5 pretty girls of the right bust size his way, he'll head home happy. You better hope he's not listening. When he put his hand on the doorknob to his office, he sensed that someone was inside. You could hear classical music. Someone had started Butler's record player without asking. That record had been given to Butler by someone trying to brighten his mood. It never hurts to receive gifts that are less than bribes, so Butler never remembered who had given him what. It didn't suit his tastes, so it should have been collecting dust in a corner somewhere. Butler knocked on the door of his own office for the first time. Captain Philip Butler here. There was no answer, but he could tell that someone certainly was in there. It was probably the sound of humming. He must have been truly enjoying the classical music playing at full blast. Butler readied himself and opened the door. Classical music poured out. Even though it was his own office, that alone made it feel like an entirely different room. Pardon me, Major. Whoa! Oh my lord, look at this guy! Are you Kameda? The Major, who was thin, tall, young, and apparently well-bred, listened happily to the music with a wine glass in his hand. The opened bottle of wine was also something that had been offered to Butler by someone. It was supposedly high quality, so he had kept it at the bottom of his drawer, hoping to use it to bribe some wine lover someday. How is it? I understand it's from a good year.
Wine is a gift of the bountiful earth and the gods. Its quality, or lack thereof, surpasses human understanding. That is why enjoying it and learning the difference between the years is like having a conversation with the gods.
So, you like wine, Major?
Wine is not a hobby. It is a culture, Captain. To take this rare crystallization of God's love and keep it in something like a drawer. Such a sad thing to do. It must sadden even the one who sent you this wine. Wouldn't you agree?
It was wine far too expensive to be affordable with Butler's wages. That, and the careless way it was sorted, seemed to have been enough for Gabriel to spot it as a bribe. Your words leave a deep impression on me. I hope you'll add that wine to your collection as a sign of our new friendship.
Bonjour.
Excuse me?
What irony. Or is this a sign from God? Quite interesting. This is the true pleasure of having wine as a means to converse with the gods.
What the hell are you talking about? Butler had no idea what he was saying. He tried to flip through channels, trying to match wavelengths, but nothing matched. However, this brief exchange of words gave Butler a general picture of who this Gabriel person was. Was he a beneficial person? No! A person he could control? Not that either.
Bonjour. That is the tragedy of wine. Even the miraculous divine blessing of a good year transforms to ruby-colored sewage when violated by corrosion.
If you ask for a wine bottle at a restaurant, then once you remove the cork, you must pay for all of it, even if you didn't have a sip. Wine corks had a virginity to them. When you ask for a bottle and the cork is taken out, the contract over the wine is already complete. Whether the guest decides to drink it or not, they must pay for everything inside. In that sense, one might say the cork was worth just as much as all the wine inside the bottle. Really? Then again, I've never ordered alcohol, so I would never know this. However, there is one exception by which you can return the bottle even after having a sip. That is bonjour. An unfortunate accident of wine where the smell of the cork invades it and ruins its scent. That's why when they open a wine bottle at an expensive restaurant, they start with a tasting. It's to confirm that the product isn't affected by bonjour. Can somebody tell me how that's pronounced? The chance of bonjour occurring is extremely small. Bonjour. When that extremely low probability is combined with a bottle from a good year, we have an intersection of two miracles, good and bad. However, the two miracles do not cancel each other out. The good miracle of the good year is crushed by the bad miracle called bonjour. He was probably hinting that the occupying forces, which ought to be pure, were stained with corruption.
Yes, I use wine analogies.
So if you put a drop of piss in a barrel of wine, the whole barrel becomes piss?
What a waste of my efforts to avoid such a crude analogy. A pleasure to meet you, Captain. I am Gabriel Kaburaya. I don't think the two of us will get along well, but I'm pleased to meet you.
Chapter 1, Two Snipers, End. Oh boy, this dude's gonna be a joy, isn't he? He's gonna be a real joy. Gabriel Caburaya. Or Cabaret. That's not gonna be it. Oh boy, we got a new force in, and it's like it's a repeat of what happened with Meiju this time. Except I think this guy's considerably more dangerous. At least part of me believes that. I have no idea what kind of voice I could go for this guy, though. I really don't. I may have to practice a little bit. But, ironically, the funny thing is, if I hadn't given the voice I gave to Meiju, I'd probably give that voice to this Gabriel guy. He kind of strikes me as that kind of dude, you know? But I've voiced friggin' Meiju for so long, I'm having a hard time trying to... I should probably practice here to try to figure out a good voice for him. If I could perform a good German accent, that might be fun. But I'm not going to be... It's not going to happen because it's a terrible excuse. But anyway, if you all like this, be sure to let me know. So thank you all so much for watching, and how the hell do you pronounce that? And I'll see all of you guys in the next damn video.